Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. And we are very happy to have Susan Wirt and Kat Cannella of Columbus State with us today, as they're going to share with everyone a bit about the winning CE program that they're running at Columbus State University. And today's webinar is being brought to you by AuguSoft. And for those of you who may be new to AuguSoft, we develop a software tool called Lumens, which is a enrollment management online registration system, which is designed for the continuing education industry. But before we get going today, I just wanted to run through a couple of really basic webinar guidelines. First off, we are going to ask a couple of polling questions throughout the course of the webinar today, and you'll see those questions displayed on your screen, and we'll give you about a minute to respond, and then we'll read off the results and then continue on with the presentation. We are recording today's webinar, as we do all of the webinars here at AuguSoft, and we will have a link with the recording as well as copies of the slides up on our website probably within the next day. So you can either check back on our website, the link there, or we will send out an e-blast to everyone letting you know that the link is up and running. And then finally, if you've got any questions throughout the course of the webinar today, we ask that you submit those through the questions toolbar on the right-hand part of your screen, and then we'll leave some time towards the end of Susan and Kat's presentation to address any of your questions. And so with that, I think we're ready to get going, and so wanted to introduce Susan Wirt. She's the Executive Director of Continuing Education with Columbus State University, and Kat Cannella, who's one of the Program Managers with Columbus State University. We're very happy to have both of them with us here today. So Susan and Kat, welcome.
Hello. Hello, this is Susan Wirt, and hello, I'm Kat Cannella. And so we're tag teaming today. We're very excited to be with you and be a part of this webinar. We're glad to be telling you our story, and we hope you get something from it. So we're just going to dive right in. Our mission here at Columbus State University is to educate people of all ages and provide regional resources for personal and professional development. And those three words, personal and professional development, are key to what we are all about here at Columbus State. And of course, we want to contribute to the mission of Columbus State, and we want to enhance the quality of life in our region and our community. And what you see on the left-hand side of this page is our fall offerings as far as our printed material that we've mailed, our direct mail pieces. And we're going to be talking about those more here in a little while and give you more information about those, but wanted to go ahead and introduce them to you. Our market is Columbus is approximately 180,000 folks. We are about 100 miles south of Atlanta on the border of Alabama. And we jokingly talk a lot about how we used to give refunds to folks in Ohio, because we would get folks registering from Ohio online, but that has become less and less of a problem for us as we've been able to get it stated that we're in Georgia. But anyway, that's our little town, and we are very lucky to have a very large military installation. Fort Benning is just down the road from us. It's the largest infantry installation in the nation. So a lot of folks come through the Columbus area as a part of the military. Historically, we're on the river, and we are a mill town, but we that has rapidly changed. We now have industries such as Aflac. TSYS is a third-party data processing company. Of course, we have banking, healthcare, and small businesses in town, but that's pretty much our market. I wanted to start with talking to you a little bit about our staffing. We have 9 full-time staff members, and we're going to go into a little more detail on that. But we have been lucky of late in finding folks who want to work part-time. It used to be very difficult to find workers who wanted to work part-time, but we're finding, possibly partly due to the military installation and other aspects of folks' lives, that we found some really top-notch folks to work part-time for us, particularly in the program coordinator position. We have a very large summer camp program called Activate, and we have found a local school teacher who works for us part-time all year long, and then in the summer she's pretty much full-time because she runs our summer camp program. And that has turned out to be a real win-win because we have someone, you know, doing the programming who really knows her stuff and knows the kids, knows the market, does excellent programming for the Activate program. We also have are working with our a professional photographer who is local and has become our program coordinator for our digital photography certificate program. And that has also been a winner for us. It's a very large program that we've that has just taken off, and we'll talk more about that in a little while too. But to have the professional actually be the program coordinator has been very useful for us. And then we also have another part-time person who's an adult programmer and just an all-around, you know, knows her stuff. But those are the part-time positions that have been really stellar in our minds. Now, we're going to show you, this is how we are organized functionally. You know, we have our traditional organization chart, but this really shows you how we function as a team of folks. I'm going to start with the operations bubble over here. We have our operations manager, supervisor, coordinator, and that's where we also have some part-time folks on the front desk. There are information specialists. They're able to answer most of the questions that come in regarding our programs. And the operations folks really are the folks who work day to day. They manage the facility. They take registrations. They deposit the money. They do the evaluations at the end of class. They transfer students, room setups, you name it. They really function on the day-to-day of our operations, of our business. And what that does is it leaves programming, the top bubble, free to really focus on needs assessment, on research, on evaluation of our programs, looking at the data, looking at what's working, what's not, and really making good decisions on programming for us. And so you can see we've got, again, the smattering of part-time folks with full-time folks for the programming function. And then our sales and marketing position is another position that has just been really vital and key to our success. Back in the day when I first started in continuing ed, the program coordinators did everything from, I mean, they'd walk by a phone, it'd be ringing, they'd pick it up, they'd register people. They would have to set up the rooms, they would even be making brochures, and quite honestly, that's what got us started looking for a marketing person, because someone who does programming isn't necessarily the person who needs to be doing that visual creation of a brochure, especially not a good one. So, when we had a position open up, we hired a marketing manager, and she is responsible for all of our print material as well as our website, our online blogs and social media, all of that. So it's really been one of our most successful points in having someone dedicated to marketing. So that has really made a big difference in our work. So with that, we have our first poll question for you.
All right, great. Thanks, Susan. So everybody, you should now see the question up on your screen. How do you divide responsibilities among your staff? And we've got a couple of different answers for you to choose from. So if you could select what fits best for you and your program, that would be great. And we'll just give you a few seconds here to respond, and then we'll get the results up on the screen and then continue on with the presentation. All right, if you haven't had a chance to respond yet, if you could just do so now, and then we'll get the results up here. All right, let's see what we've got here. So it looks like 14% said that they've got clearly defined roles. 23% try to stick to the roles the best that they can. But the vast majority, 64% say people are wearing multiple hats.
Yes, and that is what often happens, especially if you have a small shop You don't have as much of a luxury as if you can hire someone, specifically to do marketing or to run your day-to-day. This really was a transition for us. It took us a long time to get to this point, but it really has made a difference in the efficiency and the effectiveness of our operation. So with that, I'm going to move on and just talk about continuing ed at Columbus State. In fiscal year 2012, we offered 816 classes, and we had nearly 7,400 registrations. We primarily do open enrollment classes. We do some contract business, but not very much. It's mostly open enrollment. Our registrations did increase by 9% over the previous year, and we were all doing the happy dance on that. Revenue is up 17%, and our online registrations were up 14%. So we really had a good year last year. It was a banner year, and we were happy to be a part of it. And really, I feel like what contributed to that was our outstanding programming, coupled with our attention to customer service policies and procedures and operational excellence, as well as excellent marketing. We've been honing in on the marketing for quite a while, trying to figure out what works and what doesn't, and I think it's paying off for us little by little. So, in talking about marketing, I want to talk about what you see here is a picture of our blogs, but I wanted to talk about our catalogs. I mean, some will shift to this slide and talk about these, and then we'll go back and finish that other one. This fall, what we did is, well, every year in the fall, we have a dance conservatory. So the brochure you see on the left is a trifold, rather large brochure for just our dance program. And the reason we do this is our dance program is we work in collaboration with the Columbus Ballet here locally. And so we have a partnership with them that's really a win-win for us. We offer the classes, and they get studio space, and so it really has been a wonderful partnership. But they are on the school calendar, the Muskogee County School District calendar, because they most of the students are younger students, children, teens, and some adults. And so we just needed to get a brochure out earlier than we do our normal continuing ed catalog. So, and since it also is such a targeted market, we really wanted to emphasize this. It's a large program for us. It generates revenue, and so we wanted to give it the extra oomph that it needed. So that's what that piece is. Then this year, for the first time, we divided up our personal enrichment classes and our professional development classes. The catalog you see in the center, the cover, is our personal enrichment catalog. And you can see there that, well, actually at the top of the screen, we have what is our tagline, your center for personal and professional development. That goes back to our mission. And that's how we define for our audience who we are and what we're offering. I'm sure many of you have the same issue we do, which is people don't always know what continuing education is. They don't realize that it's, in our case, it's non-credit. They don't realize that anyone can come to it. So we're trying to, by having this tagline, we're trying to say to folks, it's for you. It's for everyone. Anyone can take advantage of what we offer. So back to personal enrichment, we put all of our personal enrichment classes, including some online classes, into this center catalog, and we ended up with our slogan, which is learn more, be more, think CE. You know, we're really trying to brand ourselves in this community. And in both the pieces in the center and on the right, we also wanted to give it a magazine feel, make it look a little more like a magazine. So down in the left-hand corner of this personal enrichment catalog, you can see where we've got, you know, little blurbs about classes that they can go look at it on different pages. So that's what we're trying to accomplish there. The professional development catalog on the right is, it of course has all our certificate programs, all our career-oriented programs, our professional development programs. And so we wanted it also to have the magazine look. We made it a little bit smaller. It's the same height as the personal enrichment catalog, but it's a little bit more narrow, about 2/3 the size. And so we filled it up with all those classes plus online. And so we're this is our experiment this year to see if this generates more revenue for us, gets more registrations, or if it's going to stay about the same. But we wanted to try this. We felt like we were in a good place for it. We have good. We'll talk about programming more, but we have good cadre of both types of classes, the personal enrichment and the professional development. So we really are looking forward to seeing what the result is of doing this. So I'm going back now to talk more about marketing and social media. Both Kat and our marketing manager do a fabulous job on Facebook. And I gave you our name for our Facebook page there. I know that we go to other continuing ed and look at what they do with their Facebook pages. We like them, and then we can kind of follow what they're doing. We get great ideas. But the whole point of the social media and in this is to engage our students, engage our customers in looking at what we're doing. We want to give back to them. We want to give them value-added content rather than just always sending them something and expecting them to do something. We want to give them things. So both these ladies find great content that they add to our Facebook page that then, educates, is interesting, and is exciting for folks to read. And so we want to keep having folks like Continuing Ed at CSU on Facebook. We also do blogs. We're really going to focus more on doing blogs and white papers and those kind of things to boost our marketing as well on the web. So with that, I think we have another poll question.
Yep. Thanks, Susan. So the next question kind of ties into what Susan was talking about. Are you using a blog site to promote your courses or any of your program offerings? And again, we've got a couple of choices of answers for you to select from, so if you could just pick the one that fits best, and then we'll share the results and move on with the presentation. So looks like most people have had a chance to respond. We'll just give it a few more seconds here, and then we'll get the results up. Okay, let's see what people's responses were. So 8% of you said that you are using a blog site, which is great. The vast majority, 79%, are not using a blog site at this point, and 13% said that you do have a blog, but you just don't have the time to really update it at this point. So that's a very understandable situation.
Okay. Now let's talk a little bit more about, hi, this is Kat, by the way. Let's talk a little bit more about, what has contributed to the growth in revenue that we saw this year. 17% is an impressive figure by anybody's standards, and we are very, very proud of that. So one of the drivers of that growth was an increase in not only the offerings of professional development certificates, but the attendance within those programs. So we will get to some hot trends and best practices here in just a moment, but that's one thing I do want you to be aware of, is that by packaging related courses into a certificate, all of a sudden you've increased the value of those courses. The saying is that the sum is greater, the whole is greater than the sum of its parts, and that's definitely the case here with professional programs. As Susan was mentioning to start the session, our digital photography certificate has absolutely just grown by leaps and bounds, and I think a lot of that success is due to, yes, having a professional photographer on staff to guide the direction of the growth of those courses, but again, in simply the packaging of them together, so that way students know that when they complete, the series of classes, they have mastered a body of knowledge and can then, feel confident taking creative work to the next level, or even starting their own photography businesses. And we have had several students that have done that. We are unique probably in that we also house the English Language Institute. This is an English as a Second Language program. And we've seen considerable growth in that. We have students from Korea, Taiwan, Japan, Saudi Arabia, Colombia, Paraguay, I mean all over the world that come and study with us here in Columbus, Georgia to improve their English. And they come for a variety of different reasons, either so they can pass the TOEFL, so they can get admitted, not the TOEFL, yeah, the TOEFL, so they can get admitted to the academic side of Columbus University, or many of them are spouses that are here with a military family member, and so they just want to improve their English while they've got the time here to spend with us. And then, of course, we've got our Activate Summer Camps, our wildly popular kids summer camp program in the summer that we hope to continue seeing grow. So what are some best practices? These are tips that we hope that if you're not already doing some of these things, that you can take this back to your organization to implement and see some of the great results that we've seen. The first thing is payment plan offerings. As we have increased the number of professional programs that we offer, we see that these tend to be longer programs in duration, so therefore they also have a higher cost. And oftentimes the number one roadblock for potential students is coming up with $1,000, $2,000 out of pocket to pay for whatever course they're interested in. Because we are non-credit, our students don't qualify for traditional student aid. They can't get the Pell Grant, they can't get the Hope Scholarship here in Georgia. They really are having to find ways to pay for this out of pocket. So we have a payment plan, and it's available on all courses that are $300 or greater, and we require that they make the first payment when they register of 50% of the tuition fee. The second 25% is due by the first day of class, and then the final 25% is due by the midterm of class. And we find that we have a pretty good repayment rate. We really don't have any students that default. We do have a couple that we have to hound once in a while, but we found that by giving students the flexibility to make payments, we've seen a greater return in terms of enrollment in the classes. Okay, the second best practice is those professional certificate programs. In our state, there are some regulations by the Board of Regents. It needs to be professionally oriented to be a certificate, and that it's a skill set that somebody could go and get work, feasible employment with this skill set. And then it also needs to be at least 24 contact hours to constitute a certificate, which, as you know, if we've got any programmers on the line, it's not very much coursework you have to plan just to get that 24 hours. So we achieve that pretty easily. So I would highly recommend that you look at the courses you offer and see if there's any categories of things that kind of make sense that go together. Maybe you've got a class on Microsoft Word and Microsoft Excel, and then you've also got a business writing course. Maybe you could package those three together to make an administrative secretary certificate. So think creatively with the classes you've already got and how you can repackage them. A really big driver of excitement and enrollment for us is an open house. We offer an open house in the fall, and we're going to be trying one in the winter this year. And during these open houses, we have sample classes going on. We've got free information sessions, which is the next bullet, about some of the more involved certificate programs. That way students can come and ask questions directly from the instructors, what they can expect to learn, what the job outlook is for that career field. And we found that not only do our students like, obviously, the opportunity to come in and ask those questions directly from the horse's mouth, but they like the opportunity to meet each other, to meet the staff here, to meet the instructors. They like getting to taste a class before deciding to commit. And of course, it helps that we do offer a 10% discount for everybody that registers that night at the open house. So it's a little bit of a carrot to encourage students to enroll that night. But we've seen, significant enrollments come in that 2 to 3 hour window that we know we can rely on for the rest of the term, that we can build enrollments on. We all know that online learning is increasingly popular in higher education, and we anticipate that trend will continue. I do think that the growth rate may slow in the coming years, but I think that online learning has definitely established itself as a viable method of learning. We partner with a number of great organizations, Ed2Go, Gatlin, you've got Class, ProTrain, and so with these third-party partners, we're able to offer content that otherwise we may not have the staff locally to instruct those courses. So we really enjoy the partnership that we have with them. And we were joking earlier about, having to refund students that call from Columbus, Ohio. Well, if they're in an online distance learning class, it doesn't matter. We can service them just as well from Georgia as we could if we were in Ohio with them. International students are a growing trend, I think, on campuses nationwide. And the reason why they are a boon for continuing education and lifelong learning components of universities is because we can be that link between, we can fill that learning gap between their secondary education in their home country and that level of language mastery that they need to be successful in an American university environment. So not only do you have the opportunity to bring in international students, which, they tend to pay a premium for the opportunity to study in the States, but we can also help our university at large by then funneling our English as a second language students into the academic side of things. And they're finding that our students, when they get to the quote-unquote real college classroom, they're better prepared, their language skills are up to par, and they're able to succeed with their American classmates. The last thing we would highly recommend to you is looking into IACET accreditation. IACET is the International Association for Continuing Education and Training, and they are the accrediting body for our business, for continuing education and lifelong learning. We are in the process of pursuing authorized provider status, and it is a long and arduous process. But what it does is it forces you to look at your organization. It forces you to look at your policies, your procedures, how you handle things, how your operations work, making sure that when you program, your instructors are fully qualified, that they maintain their education, they keep up to date with their credentials, that your learning objectives are clearly stated for your students so they know exactly what they can expect from your courses. So as we progress through this, I'm sure we'll have some more feedback for you, but I highly encourage you to look at IACET and look at the authorized provider status.
Just a reminder, if you have questions, you can go ahead and submit them as we go along.
Put them in the, type them into the text box, and we'll address them at the end of the presentation. So a couple more trends that we're seeing. Especially because we are positioned right next to Fort Benning, we're seeing an uptick of interest from our military families. And even though continuing ed doesn't qualify for traditional student aid, these military families do have financial resources available to them, and boy, howdy, are they using them to further their education. The MyCAA program, My Career Advancement Account, that is available to spouses, E5 and below, and it's actually only applicable for associate's degree programs or certificate programs. It's not actually valid for a 4-year degree-seeking program. So this is a great resource for you if you've got students in your area that are military. And then, of course, VA funding, Veterans Affairs, there's been some changes to the regulations and the accessibility of those funds, and we're seeing that there's actually been a loosening in the guidelines to where more students can use those VA funds towards continuing education and professional development classes. It's no longer tightly restricted to degree-seeking programs. Workforce development, we've seen this in the last few years skyrocket. With the Great Recession, everybody's looking for what'll give them that edge to, make it into the next salary bracket, to change careers and get a better position, or even just to get gainful employment. So, obviously we've tried to answer this with developing more professional certificate programs, particularly in the healthcare field. and other fields that are considered portable careers, where it's a very low barrier to entry in that it takes relatively little training and education to get your foot in the door working at one of these facilities, and then they can move up from there. And then the last bullet there, the personal enrichment one, we've seen some trends in personal enrichment. There's been kind of a renaissance of do-it-yourself type classes, learn to garden, learn to make a rain barrel, learn to coupon, learn to fix common household issues. There's just really been an upsurgence of people, and it's no longer people looking to do these things because they have to save the money, but it's more because they're interested in learning how people used to do these things. So I think that you'll continue to see that grow in the next year or two. So looking towards the future, one hot prospect for continuing education is actually partnering with academic sides of the house to offer credit with continuing education courses. There is a nationwide initiative, Complete College America, and then specifically here in Georgia, Complete College Georgia, where we're working together. The university system is working with lifelong learning units to pursue the goal of getting as many people through that 4-year degree or even 2-year degree programs. That way they can say that they've completed college. You'll see a continuing importance on customer relationship management. It's no longer enough to offer the right courses at the right time. Our audience wants to build a relationship with us, and so if we can make that relationship grow by, noting, oh, it's been, 3 weeks since the last time you took a course with us. We're so glad that you came back. Or saying, oh, yeah, we talked to you last week about this issue. Were we able to resolve it for you? Keeping records like that about interactions with our customers helps us to build that personal relationship. And we use a software called IntelliWorks that helps us manage that. It's also a good marketing tool. We can use IntelliWorks not only to keep data about our customers and past interactions and what their interests are, but we can also use it to send emails and reminders of upcoming events or upcoming courses they might find interesting. We spent some time earlier talking about engaging our audience via social media. One thing that is upcoming for us, we're going to be running a photo contest, and we're still working out the details, but at this point it looks like we will actually be taking submissions for that photo contest via our Facebook site. So that's an excellent opportunity for our customers and our students and even people who've never taken a class but thought that, hey, maybe they might like to one day. That's an excellent way for them to interact with us and be part of the CE family. And hopefully we get some fantastic images that we can actually use in future catalogs, maybe even as a catalog cover. If you've got your smartphone handy, have you tried raising it and scanning that QR code that's on your screen? If you haven't yet, as we've been talking, I ask that you do that now. You'll find that this little square barcode thingy, this is a QR code, a quick response code, and this actually goes to our CE Facebook page. So this is a trend in social media, utilizing these QR codes to direct audiences to specific landing pages. And part of the benefit of that, besides engaging your audience and starting essentially a two-way conversation, but it's a great way to be able to track if your marketing efforts are effective. Because if that QR code is specifically associated with a particular marketing piece, and you can tell from the data how many times that QR code's been accessed, then you know the effectiveness of that marketing piece that you sent out. So not only with QR codes and social media, we are actively working on building a stronger online presence, both with our blogs and that original content, that value-added content, but also with search engine optimization. This is a hot term but there are a lot of very small tweaks you can make to your website that can really enhance where you show up when somebody Googles you. And it's really important that, that your organization shows up in that first page of Google or search responses to get maximum impact. All right, I think we're ready for our next poll question.
All right, great. Thanks, Kat. The question is, do you use QR codes as a marketing tool? And again, we've got a couple of choices for you to choose from. And so if you just take a few seconds here and respond, and then we'll share the results and continue on. And just to let you know, I did try your QR code, and it worked great on my iPod here.
Awesome. And you'll notice that we sent you to our Facebook page because that is mobile optimized.
Yeah,
we're working on our regular website to get that optimized.
Super. Yeah, that looks great. All right. If you haven't had a chance to respond, if you could please do so now, and then we'll get the results up here and continue. All right. Looks like most everybody's responded, so let's see what we've got. So, vast majority are using QR codes, so that's great. 60% said that they are, and 40% are not, but at least everybody knows what a QR code is, so that's great.
Okay. So we work very closely with LERN, the Learning Resources Network, as I'm sure many of you are also familiar with. But just a quick reminder of what LERN says are our key benchmarks for our industry. You want to make sure that you have a really good handle on your income and expenses by product group. For us, that would be our business units like the ballet, like the English Language Institute, like adult programming, kids programming, that type of stratification. You also want to know your profitability percentage by those groupings because, just because you're making a whole big old number for income, if you're spending, that minus $1, then you're not very profitable and your business is probably on shaky ground. You want to know what your average participants per course is. Your students also like to know what an average class size is, so that way they know if they can expect a very intimate one-on-one atmosphere, or if they're, if your classes tend to be larger, if they're going to be more in a lecture style course. You want to know what your average fee is per registration. You definitely want to know what your cancellation rate is. The target, LERN says, is between 5 and 20% of your program overall. So that's something that we have targeted to work on this year specifically. You want to know your catalog to participant ratio. That is how many catalogs you mail, or how many print direct marketing pieces you mail, versus how many participants or enrollment come as a result of that. You want to know how many average classes per participant. So each student that you have, are they taking more than just one class while they are still engaged with your organization, or are they just one and done type students? You also want to know the average income per participant because, while a one and done type student might only take a $3,000 certificate program, that's still significant income. But then, if you've got a student that takes 20 classes every year, but they're taking $20, $30 classes, that's also important information for you to know because, the lifetime value of that participant might be greater even though the dollar value of the courses they're taking is smaller. And then the last figure is the percentage of income refunded. We work with our students when they have to cancel a registration, or if we have to cancel a course, we work with them to try to retain that income in the form of a credit voucher. And so the less refunds we're distributing and the more credit vouchers our students take, that's more income that you're keeping in your organization that you can then turn to new programming. One thing we did want to draw your attention to was we talked about our partnership with several partners to offer online classes. You Got Class is one of our newest partners. We started offering classes with them last fall, and just in 1 year of doing business, it has grown to right under about 50% of all revenue generated by online classes for us, which is a nice chunk of change, and we're very pleased with it. Our students tell us that one of the reasons they really enjoy UGOT class is because it's not just your typical online class where material is released, the student logs on and reads it, they take a quiz. You know, you do that for however many chapters, you take a final, and then you're done. No, with UGOT class, there is actually real interaction going on between the instructor and the student, between the students and the other students, utilizing discussion boards, questions, you know, embedded content, videos. So it's a really more of an interactive experience. On the administrative end, you know, just like with the rest of the staff at LERN, the UGOT class staff is phenomenal. They're super responsive, they're very friendly, and not only are our students enjoying the flexibility of when the coursework, when they can access that, UGOT class also offers the flexibility for, you know, for whatever reason a student has to drop a class, you know, life happens, they got into a car wreck or something. UGOT class allows the student to just roll their enrollment into the next course start date. You know, the partner doesn't have to worry about refunding any money or anything like that, but UGOT class automatically says, it's okay, you know, we'll just see you in a month from now when the next class starts. So that's been really a win-win for all three of us, CE, UGOT class, and the student.
Okay, this is Susan. I'm back. We have we want to talk about data. We've already talked about the benchmarks that we use, and that's just some of them. We actually have a whole lot more, but that just gives you an idea of what we use to manage our business. But we have been Lumens users since 2007, and we have a whole lot of things that we like about Lumens, and we're going to get to those in a minute. But one thing that we did is we designed our website to look very seamless between the Columbus State site and the Lumens site. We didn't want our audience to think they were moving from one platform to another. So we worked really hard with that, and we like the way that looks, and you're welcome to go check it out yourselves. But that has been one thing we've done. The other thing is we really like about Lumens is the fact that you can log attendance. Students get access to their own transcripts. We're able to load our CEUs that we have to report to the state. That's an easy way to get that information, run a report, get it out, report it to the state. In fact, all of the standard reports are customizable, which is really nice because you may want to see one part of the data in one setting and another part in another setting, and it's nice to be able to just run those and compare them. Another thing that's really nice about the Lumens system is the automatic email communication with the registrations. Once they register, they get an automatic confirmation. Then they get reminders that class is coming up. It's just it's the kind of thing that we don't have to worry about at all. It just happens with the software. The other thing that has been really wonderful too is the seamless integration with these online partners that we have. We're able to get that information via download, and it goes straight into our Lumens site. We do a little bit of massaging of the data, but it's out there for people to register, and that's much easier than us having to load those online providers. Manually, yes. We're able to offer e-gift cards. That's something that we were not able to do before, and that's been a real selling point for us, especially around the holidays. And then there are the folks at Augusoft are constantly gathering information from us, asking us to be on focus groups, making upgrades to the system, improving the system. If we have questions, there's a process for asking questions and getting things resolved, and really their customer service is absolutely supreme. They are easy to work with and very responsive to us, and every now and then we're scratching our heads, and we'll call them and they'll scratch their heads for a little while, but then they come up with a resolution that really meets our needs, and it's helped us tremendously. They do have the Lumens Summit, which is their users meeting, and it's in Washington, D.C., coming up in November. And that's also a really wonderful time for folks to get together, be able to share best practices, and of course learn what's new coming out of, coming forth with the Lumens system, and what things are things that we may have not have even realized we could do with the system, and those are the kinds of things that are learned at the Lumens Summit. So it's just a great process for us. It's been a great software. We've really enjoyed working with them. So now we are able to take questions. We have here our Facebook page again and our web address.
If you have any questions that we can't get to today, feel free to email either Susan or myself, and we'd be happy to get back with you about that.
Great. Thanks very much, Susan and Kat. It's a great presentation. And so just wanted to remind people, if you do have any questions for Susan and Kat, if you just want to send those in through your toolbox, the questions part of your toolbox, we'll get to as many of those as we can here in the last few minutes. And we do have a couple of questions that came in. One question that we had was about, are your CE programs offered as credit programs also?
They are not. They are not offered as credit. We are all non-credit at this point in time, but we are exploring the possibility through the state of Georgia in offering credit classes in the future. And that's what we were talking about earlier, wanting to work with the academic side of the house to see if there are things that we could do. Many states we know are able to offer credit through continuing education, but Georgia, it's not been done, and we're just scratching the surface of being able to do that.
All right, and then if you could, somebody had a question about what IACET stands for, if you could remind people on what that means again.
Okay. IACET stands for the International Association for Continuing Education and Training. But you can just go to IACET.org and learn all about them.
And that's an accreditation process that we're wanting to go through. We are going through it. We believe it will improve our business, and it is. We have a SACS accreditation through for the university system, and this is just an accreditation for continuing education. And we really believe it will be valuable to us to go through that process of a self-assessment, and then having it examined by outside examiners and saying, yes, you are doing the right things, or you need to make improvements here or there. So we're looking forward to that process.
All right. Another question is if you could repeat the name of the CRM tool that you used, and they were wondering if it's similar to how Salesforce works.
The name of the tool is IntelliWorks, and I'm not familiar with the other tools, so I don't know if they're similar.
And IntelliWorks has recently been bought by Hubson's, and that's a big name in CRM. In the CRM world. So Hubson's has bought IntelliWorks, but IntelliWorks started out, as a small company, and they have a lot of flexibility and a very user-friendly system. So we've gotten a lot out of that. We're in our second year of using it, and it's definitely worth looking into and researching. That one is one of the ones you might be interested in.
Okay, and then just had one other question that I can answer, is somebody wondering when the Lumens User Summit is, and that will be November 14th and 15th, and that's being held in conjunction with the LERN conference, which then starts right after that, which I believe runs through the 15th through the 18th, and they're both in Washington, D.C. this year. So you can visit our website if you want more information about that. And those are all the questions we have at this time. So unless anybody has any further questions, I think we'll wrap things up, and wanted to thank Susan and Kat again for taking the time to present. It was a wonderful presentation.
Thank you.
And just wanted to remind people, if you are interested in learning more about Lumens, we're more than happy to set up a demo for you, and you can just contact our sales at augusoft.net email, and we'll set that up for you. And also just wanted to let people know that right now we're actually running a little giveaway. If you sign up for a demo, a team demo between now and the end of October. We'll put your name in a drawing, and then we're going to give away one LERN on-site consultation for free, basically. And we'll be announcing that at the User Summit and the LERN conference. So if you're interested in a demo, this would probably be a good time to sign up. So Susan and Kat, if you have any closing comments?
Thank you so much for the opportunity. We enjoyed being with you all today.
Yes, thank you.
Great. Well, thank you very much. And with that, I think we will sign off. So have a great day, everybody.